George Whitefield is America's first superstar. He is a well-known Anglican minister during the Great Awakening. And so George Whitefield is unique and well known because of his preaching style. He has a background in theater, and he really brought that into his preaching style. He preached loud. He preached with passion. He made people cry. I mean, he looked at you. It said that he was cross-eyed, and so wherever you were in the room, you felt as though he was looking right at you. And so George Whitefield is a revivalist. He is an open air, going out, finding people, teaching the word, both in Britain, in Scotland, and in the U.S. And so he's well known, and his popularity spans beyond anything at that time. It's said that in the U.S. alone, at least 3/4 of the people there had come at some point to hear him speak. So he is well known. He's a revivalist, and he is an Anglican minister who preaches on the new birth. You must be born again. And so, as I was saying, he preached unique. His passion, his value, the amount of people who could hear him. People would say that 20,000 people could hear him. And Benjamin Franklin, being who he was, wanted to see, is that really possible? I don't know. And so he went to one of George Whitefield's speaking arrangements, and he did the math, he did the numbers, and he said, actually 30,000 people could hear him. So his ability to speak and communicate the word of God was unlike anyone at this time. And some criticized him and said, it's too much, it's too loud. In fact, the First Awakening is actually not called, to people in that time, the joke about what it is the great noise. So this is a time where George Whitefield's personality and his love for God really came out. And so this particular article is unique because it doesn't just talk about his revival, his speaking ability. It talks about something else. Because no study or understanding on George Whitefield is complete without understanding and appreciating his business mind. This article, this essay really wants you to understand that, yes, George Whitefield was an amazing preacher. Yes, his personality. Yes, he was loud. Yes, he brought passion. But there's also something else he brought. And that something else played a major role in him becoming the superstar he was. And that was his ability to use trade, to use marketing, to use commerce, to get the word of God out. This man came ready to work with people and to make them want it, to make them say, I need, what do you got? Give it to me. I want to know. Which is exactly, again, what a peddler would do. They would say, look what I have. I have and the people would be lighting up, give it to me, we want more. And so Whitefield is the peddler in this way, because he gets you excited for what he has. Before he would even come into a town, he had sent information about him coming. He had sent information about his previous arrangements and his previous engagements. And so before articles would write saying, so-and-so will be here, here's a place, here's a time, come, enjoy. George Whitefield was different. His articles would say testimony of where he was before. And someone who saw him and said, 30,000 people were there and this much money was raised for the poor. And so he was setting himself up in this way where people said, I can't miss this. I can't not be one of the 30,000 people who show up to see George Whitefield. I can't not hear this message, this new preaching that's so famous. So he was unique. And I love this quote George Whitefield said, when will the children of light be as wise in their generation as the children of the world? And even had discounts for the amount you bought. If you bought in bulk, you could have a cheaper cost. And that works for people because there were people who would buy large amounts and give to the poor. So he understood that. And he also had special subscriptions for the wealthy. He was even sensitive to the reader's ability to pay and the ability of and the willingness to read long things. And so he often made his writings shorter for people. And he said, I wrote short because I know long compositions generally weary the reader. And so he really wanted his writings, his sermons, his journals to be accessible for everyone, to get into everyone's hands. Things that I love about this article is that it mentioned the times that Whitefield was in. In fact, this was prime time for Whitefield's style because food costs were going down and people had more disposable income. This was a time where they could actually say, oh, we can start buying non-essentials. This was the prime time for a peddler of the gospel to come in and say, hey, I want to teach you. I want to show you. You must be born again. Read this. Learn this. Open your eyes. Here, read this. Everyone wanted to print something from George Whitefield. People understood that printing his stuff meant money. And one of those people was Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was a major proponent of George Whitefield. They had a team dynamic. They understood. Benjamin Franklin said, hey, if I print your stuff, I'm going to make more money, which he did. And George Whitefield understood, if I work with you and you print my stuff, more people will get the word. So they work together to get the word of God out. Questions that come from this article, some areas of challenge for me with this article is one that I believe that it doesn't show sufficiently some of the challenges that Whitefield faced. Being a open air evangelist was not easy at this time, and some of the things that he experienced were death threats by mobs, angry mobs. He was almost killed. In fact, he even had some health issues. It's believed that he had asthma, so he wasn't a very well, healthy man. He was a young man, but he did have some health issues. He had challenges. He had to do a lot of traveling, a lot of work. So I do believe that this article doesn't show some of the challenges he faced. It doesn't do, I would say, justice really to help understand proportionally how spectacular this movement that George Whitefield was a part of. So by the end of his life, it's believed that he had given about 18,000 sermons, and probably 3/4 of the American population had seen him in person. That is unfathomable and unthinkable, really, to imagine. So I don't believe the article really helps you really see the proportion of why this is such a big deal. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your day.